Basta salamat at ika'y isinilang. Di pangkaraniwan, para siyang superhero. Hinarap lahat ng pagsubok, yung iba hindi biro. Meron siyang misyon, kaya walang takot sumabak. Mga buhay na nagkasalalay sa kanyang pangarap. Parang pelikula, action, adventure, drama. May konting comedy, love story na pangmasa. Galing sa wala, akala mo talo.
Slightly, but she had to evacuate.
So I really I'm thankful for the opportunities that NABA really presents to the youth in regards to you know, providing a platform where Filipino American kids get together and learn about the brotherhood, you know, the discipline and the life lessons that you learn through basketball.
Yes, Coach. Thank you, Coach Cris. And I heard, Coach, when I see the profile of Coach Alex Cabagnot, I saw there's a word that you and Mark Agiwa are with each other in your high school team.
Yeah, well, we did. It was a long time ago, but you did. I remember the organization, the platform for, especially growing up in Los Angeles, dealing with a lot of Filipino youth, especially yung mga kaka-migrate lang namin sa Philippines, and a sense of belonging. And these leagues like NABA, PIBNA, all these leagues, even though they're pitting against each other, they provide a platform. Yung platform nila to get these kids off the street, represent their community, and do it in a sense of with basketball in the middle of it, with God in the center of it. And it's been a great ride. Like I say to Coach Cris, I haven't played any East Coast tournaments. I have never played yung mga NABA. Sa West Coast lang ako kasi taga LA ako eh. But I've recently played in a 35 and over. Last year, I played for a team called ASA. I think that's I think the whole East Coast, and we played a bunch of teams from Toronto. So same type, and I could just I was looking at the kids while they were playing, yung mga bata, mga 10 and under, 11 and under, 12 and under, 13 and under, and I could just, you know, I felt like I was them not so long ago. And I'm very fortunate to be here right now, and to more kudos to what you guys are doing, and for the great things that you guys are doing for the youth.
Yes, Coach. Coaches, a little info, Coach Alex is already went into coaching, right, in UP? Right,
Yes.
Coach Alex? Yes.
Yeah.
Where do you start your coaching, Coach? Because Coach Alex, we know his story, and we will talk about it later.
My story or Coach Cris' story?
Hello, Coach.
What was that? Was that my story or Coach Cris'
Yes,
story?
Coach. Your story before you, your coaching story, Coach.
Coaching, well, I've always surrounded myself with great minds in basketball. Coach Cris and I have been working with each other for the last, I want to say, since 2010, or
Yeah.
so it's been almost 11 years. He's been part of my success in the Philippines, the PBA. We won numerous championships together, even though he works for other teams. That bond that we had when we in 2009, 2010, it's still it's pretty evident now. So just helping the kids. I got into coaching with UP at 2015. So this would be my 5th year, season 83 in UAAP. I chose UP because they were the school that had no fanfare, that didn't have as much fanfare as the Ateneo or the La Salle, that didn't have as much wins. So I saw a lot of potential, and I saw a lot of growth. And last year we made the semifinals for the UAAP, and the year before that we went to the finals. The first time we went to the finals in the last 32 years. So obviously I took in what Coach Cris has been doing with me, growing and nurturing player development is what I bank my career on in the near future. So that's what I like to do. So I introduced that to the UP. Same examples that what Coach Cris would do with me, and I'm glad it's been working out.
Especially you inspired of most of the players, all the players from the UP side. And Coach Chris, first, you first start in coach, ano ka, conditioning coach, skills coach, then become coach. Coach, saan ka nung nag-start nun as a conditioning coach?
Actually, I started my very first coaching position here in the Philippines was para kay Coach ERIK Ultimarano sa Coach E basketball school. I was trying to figure out ano bang gagawin ko after I decided to stop playing, and I found online he was having tryouts for coaches, so I applied. And very first kids I ever coached were 5 and 6 years old here in the Philippines for Coach E basketball school. You know, by the grace of God, I think he linked me to the right kid. Kasi yung unang estudyante ko wind up being yung anak ni Boss Erik Ariola. At the time, he was the team manager of the Philippine Patriots Asian Basketball League, and humahanap daw sila ng strength and conditioning coach. So it was just lucky circumstance, I guess, and he allowed me to do a demo para sa team nila. And you know, there's a story. I always share the story. My first days of practice, bumili ako ng isang malaking tire sa Evangelista. I don't know if you guys know where Evangelista is, but I bought a tire and I brought it with me in the taxi, and I brought it to practice on my first day. and I did a demo, and you know, I looked kind of crazy carrying a tire around in a taxi all day, but it was all worth it, I guess. So that's how I started as a strength and conditioning coach of Patriots. After 1 year, si Boss Mikey Romero decided to, aakyat niya na daw yung Patriots sa PBA, kaya naging Global Port, Bottom Piers. And I was blessed enough to still remain with the staff, with Coach Glenn Capaccio, Coach Louis Gonzalez. We had Coach John Cordell. I had tremendous, mentors with me on that journey. And from Global Port, I was able to be under Coach Janelle Bakuli after he took over for Coach Glenn. And then from there, Coach Glenn wound up being the head coach of Kia when they first became an expansion team. And I had left Global Port, and I've been blessed to keep a great relationship with Coach Glenn, and he allowed me to go on his staff as a strength and skills coach, as well as a defensive specialist. And from there, I guess I was blessed enough to get an opportunity to really be in a situation where, being coach with no head coach experience, they allowed me they trusted me to be a first-time head coach for PBA, which is such one of the hardest, I think, positions to acquire here in the Philippines setting. So Philippines, there's only 12 head coaches of PBA, and the amount of coaches there are here, I was really blessed. Felt really humbled. Now I got to experience that at such a young age as a first-time coach. It was such a challenge going up against your idols like Tim Cohn, Norman Black, Coach Yang, Coach Leo Austria. Those guys. Coach, going up against San Miguel was a nightmare most of the time because of this guy right here, Alex. They know how to create defensive schemes against him. I told my guys, just hit him, just foul him. But it's been a great ride so far, and hopefully, I can keep it going.
Yes, coach. One first question for Coach Alex. Coach Alex, what is crunchman mean to you? Because the PBA always telling you the crunchman Alex Cabagnot.
Well, it's just something. It's just a psyche that I get into in the last 6 minutes of the game. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the last couple minutes, but it's a psyche in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter where everybody's a little bit tired, everybody's a little bit worn down, especially in the long games, a best of 7 series, especially if we've been playing for 11 months out of the year. You know, yung mga ganun situation. I think it's just a mentality that that we personified, Coach Cris and I. It's just the things that we've worked on, and I'm glad that the PBA has noticed it and mentioned it as crunch time. But
Yeah.
we do take pride when we train. It's always in time restriction. It's always every time Coach Cris and I train, it's never wasted time, wasted movement. There's always a time, there's always a goal, just like in basketball games, and we have to achieve those goals in time restrictions. So that mentality that I have, that crunch man mentality, it's literally from the work that Coach Cris and I have put in the last decade or so.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Enrico.
Um, Good morning, good evening, Coach. There, this questions is for both of you, since it's like you have a similarity, history, and backgrounds coming from United States, and the only difference is Alex went into playing, and Coach Cris coming in there and coaching. So, since we are the Familia DCs developing players, like same thing as like what you guys did. What actually how can you tell to the kids now that we're training, if there's any that advice that you can tell them to progress and maybe they're idolizing some kids here that wanted to coach and wanted to play. So how can you advise to them? How did you came up from that success that you've been doing right now in the Philippines? We can start on Coach Cris.
Oh, okay. In regards to the player side, I think for the youth, I've always just been an advocate of promoting the love of the game first. A lot of kids get caught up with getting trained early. I think I really want to get to the top of the mountain. You got to create a love inside that you can tap into when things are not going well, because that love is going to drive you towards get past the dark times to the bright to the light at the end of the tunnel. And like Coach Alex said about working with a purpose. There's a difference between working hard and working with a purpose. Everybody thinks that just because you stay 2 hours in the gym that you've worked hard. Well, I guarantee you the 50 minutes me and Coach Alex go through is way harder than what you've done in 2 hours. So who's working harder at that point, and who's working with the purpose? I think that's something that the youth who aspire to be the best really have to understand that, to be extraordinary, the key word is extra. And for the greatest example of that is a 9-time PBA champion in Alex, and he's become a Finals MVP. He was finally on Gilas last year, and and he's just always we just say just trust the work, and your future will be in your hands. In regards to coaching, you know, some players may not be fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play at the highest level. For example, myself, I never got to play in the PBA, but I still committed myself to try to play at the highest level I could. And I think you just try to become a sponge as much as you can with the coaches and your parents now, or you know, your parents are are the ones that mold you in regards to your work ethic, the way you go about your character building traits. Are you a listener? Are you coachable? I think that the way you're brought up has a real effect on how you approach things like that. I also say try to learn as much as possible from everybody. Don't have a closed mentality. Nah, you know everything. I know young kids always have a mentality. Oh, I know that already. I did that layup drill a million times. Why is coach teaching me this again? Well, you just don't know what different coaches will teach you different times. You just have to have an open and mind to it. And you know, most coaches aren't going to teach you something unless they feel it's going to benefit you. And try to go as many coaching clinics. Don't be scared. You know, with social media now, you can ask random coaches on Facebook, on Twitter, any question you like. I ask questions to everybody, and I'm not scared to admit either. I steal a lot of things from other coaches. I'm not a genius. I've stolen stuff from Spoelstra, Brad Stevens, Popovich, everyone, and that's just how I am. And you know, you kind of just take in what you like, put in what you feel can work best with your mindset and philosophy, and go from there.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach Alex.
Alex.
Well, Coach Cris hit it on the dot. Yung mga sinasabi ni Coach Cris, it's, you know, I don't know if you guys know the story of Coach Cris. He came out as a player, and so that's why probably a lot of players and coaches, and like myself, that wants to get better, respond to him a lot in a unique level, because we know he's a player's coach because he's been through it. He's recently been through it. So it's the response that you get with kids. I'm working right now. I'm a co-founder of Phil-Am Nation and Phil-Am Nation Select in the United States, and we're running basketball camps and regional camps. And what we're trying to do and what we're trying to provide is the educational standpoint, because you could work hard, you could feel that you know this, but just like in education, I know everybody takes the SATs. They have to prep for the SATs. So what my organization and what my other founder has done, Coach Cris Gopez, we provided you the answers to the questions. So all you have to do is literally memorize the question and the answer. Right now I'm bringing the whole, the UAAP, how I had a webinar the other day. It talked about what do I look for in kids as a coach for UP. And that's exactly the best question a parent or a kid that's striving. It's the educational, because, you know, they could be working, like what Coach Chris said, they could be working hard for 2 hours, but there's no purpose. There's no purpose on their drills because they're aimlessly working hard. I mean, I'd take that over anything, but I would love the educational part of it, knowing the purpose, knowing what to do. And like your organization, it teaches the grit, how to get out to the Philippines. And I wish my organization, Phil-Am Nation, can help more kids and get more kids scholarships and hopefully get them to the highest level. And we don't only work with coaches. I mean, we don't only work with players. We also work with coaches. Coach Chris Gavina is going to be one of our regional camps, our regional directors for the East Coast and the Philippine branch. So somebody like a Coach Cris that's coached in all the leagues out here, when he talks, I don't see any other player they should be listening, because he's going to tell you exactly what a coach, 1 out of 12 coaches in the PBA, is looking for in a kid. So with the being humble, being coachable, those are part of it. But the educational standpoint of what we could give to these kids, of what to do or how to do it or where to do it, that's even better, because nape-prepare natin sila for the future. So that's my coaching sense, and that's my organization sense to the youth platform right now.
Thank you, Coach. I got 2 more questions next, but I'll go after all of us. But we will read some of the questions too from our guest. Coach, thank you, Coach Alex. Go ahead, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Coach David.
All right. This is great. Coach Alex, were you playing last year in the semifinals? Was that you? Last year?
Yes.
At Araneta?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was there at that game. I remember that game, man. That was awesome. You scored what, 31 points or something? I mean, like, this was like
like no, it was, you know the funny story. That's why Coach Cris is laughing. It was actually against Coach Cris, semifinals.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was there with Coach Joseph Galermo. We had the SBP thing, and so we went over to watch the two. We watched 2, Northport and Ibra, and then you guys against the Aces, right?
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, wow. And it's great to meet you, you know, both of you. I just, so for me, obviously, I'm a chaplain, I'm a pastor. I focus on raising up men and women to be leaders of character, integrity. And so could you speak to that, as how important those things are to you and instilling into those that you're working with, not just the players, obviously, but also coaches. So let's start with you, Alex, and Coach Cris after that, please.
I think for the youth, it's not necessarily about basketball. It's something about their mentality going into something. It's how open-minded they are into learning what they need to learn. I think how coachable they could be, how teachable they are. Coachable, I guess coachable gets a bad rap because it sounds like it's more on the athletic standpoint, but I think I think it's an immersion of some sorts. You have to immerse yourself in what your intentions, what your goals are. You could be if you want to be an engineer, you have to immerse yourself. You have to learn. If you're young and you want to be an engineer, every day should be a challenge of how to get closer to your goal of being an engineer. If you want to be a pilot, every day has to be that mindset that you have, that psyche of aggressively working towards and relentlessly going towards that goal. I know one of the best things that happened to me, other than my championship rings, was opening my heart up to Jesus, to the Lord above, in 2011. And it's same for me. I was not as versed with the Bible. I was not as versed with the spiritual side that I have, but it's just the immersion of just diving in, just having faith that he'll be there for you. And like what Coach Cris said, you might look like the not so well knowledgeable person in the room, and I'm being politically correct with that. You might not know the prayers as much as you would. You might not know the ceremonies, but the will to learn, the will to figure it out, the will to just continuously chop at that redwood, slowly but surely, you'll get there. And I feel like on my spiritual side, I think that was the one that was lacking the most. I feel I'm closer to God as I've ever been in my life right now. And I'm very happy that the basketball aspect of just continuing to not being afraid to look like a fool. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Not being afraid
Yeah.
to look like the person
Yeah.
that's the dumbest person in the room. And that's okay. That's okay to look like the dumbest person in the room. It's okay to look like the dumbest person in the room that day. But it's you know, nobody's ever static or stagnant in any position, and if you continuously work to that goal, you won't be the dumbest person in the room, and you have to probably change that room, and you have to move up. So I'm just to the everybody that's listening right now that's pursuing other goals other than basketball. I know that's basketball is what we're talking about right now, but that's what Phil Am Nation Select is up to. We do business seminars, we do coaching seminars, we do small business, we do leadership seminars. We want you to be at the highest, at the pinnacle of whatever you're trying to achieve, and hopefully we could attain that, and hopefully we could achieve that and help to the younger generation.
Oh, that's awesome. How about you, Coach Cris? What's your perspective on that?
You know, being in touch with the spiritual side is really a great balance of keeping you centered. I have to admit I wasn't really the type of person who's been in mass, and I think that's something I have to get improved with. But you know, I went through a hard moment in my life here in the Philippines, and in I think it was 2012, where I was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and you know, I spent a week in the hospital all alone, and having a disease like that, you know, you have nothing else but to pray, and you know. That moment in my life where I just felt like God really helped me heal. And for me, that spiritual enlightenment kind of carried me and pushed me towards, you know, never taking any day for granted. And now just trying to share, you know, the blessings that I've been provided with through that moment. With my players, you know, I try to tell my guys that I'm brutally honest. You know, I'm from New Jersey. I don't I don't sugarcoat anything. I truly feel that I think that's how I was kind of dealt with as a player, and it's kind of transitioned to how I coach now. And I feel the players like Alex who are open to that level of constructive criticism, they're the ones willing to grow the most. And like Alex said, sometimes you have to feel stupid to get to another level of intelligence. And there's some times where I talk to some coaches and I have no clue what they're talking about, but at the end I do, and I'm saying to myself, "Oh, thank you, coach. I just stole something again." So
Yeah.
you know, and I think it's just a progressive mindset that you need to have, and that's something that I really promote towards players becoming leaders. You're not just you know, don't
Yes.
just play the game. Be a leader.
That's right.
Be an example, just like you would be as a Christian. And you know, so one of the great I think mantras anyone's ever told me I've ever read was treat somebody the way you want to be treated. So you know, I give that level of respect now to players and as well as everybody that I come in contact with.
Yeah, well, that's the old golden rule there, Coach. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's exactly right. I'll reserve for question for later. Thank you. We'll talk more.
Thank you,
Back to you, Mel.
Coach. Before we go to Coach Rain, I will just read the questions from Phil Nation Select. Said that Alex what's your recovery like after a good workout with Coach Chris?
A good my recovery usually with Coach Chris is well, I know Coach Chris has been steadily trying to eat healthier. That's obviously when we get older we have to eat a little bit healthier. I've been vegan for the last six. I've been plant based for the last almost going on 6 years. So whenever we, whenever Coach Chris and I would work out, which is often, we always have vegan food ready, and that's how we pretty much just recover. Because he has practice. I can't get him. We can't. I have practice after our workouts. He has practice. We can't have such a big breakfast that we're going to be lethargic. So we go straight into something healthy, very healthy. It perks up our energy system, which we could go another 100% in whatever we're going to do after that. So that's usually our recovery. Our fuel is usually our food.
Yes, Coach. Thank you, Coach. And question from Ian Kevin Balete. Coach Chris, I have been following you on Twitter. Love your tweets about culture and grit. Do you have plans on publishing your own book on those topics?
Thanks for continued support, Coach Kevin. I would love to possibly, come together and release something. During this pandemic, I've actually gotten to read, I think, 6 books. That's a lot for me in the span of 3 to 4 months. And I just continually learn about 2 of the books I read about. One was How a Champions Think and a champion's mind, and and I've just kind of carried it over to um, my added philosophy now of how I approach things and how can I emphasize championship standards on an everyday basis towards players. Um, I hope that I can write all of this stuff down at one point in my life, but hopefully soon, Coach.
But you have had hardwire, Coach. Coach Rain,
Good evening, Coach Chris and Coach Alex. Okay. My question is, 10 to 20 years from now, do you see yourself coaching or writing a book or still playing?
I wouldn't see myself playing anymore in the future. I would hope so, but I don't think I will be playing. I'm looking forward in the future to work with Coach Chris and handling a team and calling our shots together. We've handled the all-star team of NBTC. Coach Chris was I was privileged enough that Coach Chris would invite me to his staff. It was just me and him. We coached against Ron Artest and Jalen Green, and being that as one of my highest stage, especially in I think it was crowded, right, Coach? It was. I mean
It's like a UAP. It's like your championship games.
yeah, it's like a UA. It was almost 20,000 kids there. They're cheering for their high school. And Coach Chris literally just sat back and just gave me the floor of coaching. And he left me out there coaching the All-Star game. And that alone always sticks to my head. It was something big for me. I know it's probably normal for Coach Chris, but something like that, hopefully in the near future we could work together, handle a UAAP team, or maybe handle a PBA team together, because I feel like we have great synergy, and all the best coaches, they learn from somebody, and I think we could just like learn from each other, which is a good thing. 2 minds are better than one, right? So that's my goal in the future.
Coach Alex, Coach Chris?
Yeah, definitely. I think uh, 20 years. I'd love to have a resume, but by then similar to Coach Tim Cone, 20 plus championships. That's really striving to be. To me, he's the best coach that's ever come. That's here in the Philippines in any level. You know, to be able to strive for that. Maybe if I have a opportunity to coach overseas, that's an opportunity I would love to pursue. China, Japan, uh, NBA, G League, even the NBA. Why not? If it's a possibility, and definitely if the opportunity arises where me and Coach Alex can come together, I think would be I'd be his Tex Winners. He'd be Phil Jackson over there.
I told Coach Cris when I retire, I'm gonna follow him around everywhere. So he better bring.
I'd probably be more like Bobby Knight, though.
Yeah, you would be.
Just like Coach, just
Thanks,
like
Coach Chris.
Batman and Robin. Coach,
Yes.
we now go to the NBA. And there's a question here. Your biggest takeaway as a coach in your favorite team. Your biggest takeaway as a coach in your favorite team. And the thing you might apply in your team.
Is that to me?
Coach, Coach Chris, yes.
Okay. The favorite thing I honestly take away from the teams I've held is just the camaraderie and the brotherhood, the chemistry, the culture that guys develop. I think from my first experience being a head coach at Kia, having these younger players that never really got an opportunity to showcase themselves, and these guys just bought into a culture of hard work and being embracing competitive spirit. And then and now when my time with the Bacoor Strikers and MPBL, I told those guys that they were always going to be a special group to me, because even sa umpisa pa lang na alam ko na yung connection nila sa isa't isa. I could see it early on in the season, even before our season started. They were going to be a special group, and by the end of the year, they had such a special place in my heart because of the, when you see the effort players give you, and they're willing to go through a wall for you. You just have such great. It's a humbling experience of having that level of trust in somebody, in myself, and in guiding them, and I never take that for granted. And I think that's something that I'll carry with me throughout my career.
Yes. Alex, what's your favorite team in the NBA?
Favorite team in the NBA, the Lakers. Always the Lakers. But the things I like that I took away from all this, the playoffs, are the team that moves the ball around the most, because the ball has an energy, a certain type of energy. So the faster you move it, the more movement you have, they usually win. Spoelstra's teams, they move. They have a lot of scissor cuts. They have a lot of mid post to crisscrosses and getting to guys to the right position, making the defense shift from strong side to weak side. Also, I noticed the stuff that I don't want to happen. And I love D'Antoni. I love the D'Antoni system, because he was my favorite. He is still one of my favorite coaches because of the whole Steve Nash era and how he's done that. But, as we look at how that transpired compared to like the Denver, compared to the movement, the ball movement, it's a lot different, especially with the Lakers. Even though they have Kobe, they did have Kobe, but with LeBron and AD, they still move the ball around. They still get guys shots. It's up to them to make shots, but they get the opportunities to get shots. So That's what I'm taking away. That's what I'm taking footnotes of. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. But I am a Laker fan, so even if the Clippers lost, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's good. Coach Enrico.
All right, Coach. That was a good one. But I have a question. I mean, there's a question from our,
Yes, yes, sir.
some of our viewers, and this is a good one that, Ian, Kevin is pointing out, so I might be asking that question too. For Coach Alex, they said, how do you get yourself into a crunch mentality, and how do you teach that clutchness to the other players? Because before Jamal, maybe they're the one that looking up to you about this clutchness. So how could you share this experience, and how can you give them an advice how to be in that kind of mentality, and how did you exercise that?
I think the more reps you have, the more time you spend on the court, that's your edge. I think that's your edge. I'm not going to say that's the only thing, but more reps you have, the more sessions you have on the court compared to if player A shot the ball 300 times, 5 days a week, and player B shot the ball 3 times, 400 or 500 shots. I think player A would be a lot more confident because he's done it for a longer duration. So I think you need to spend time on your craft. I think when you spend time on your craft, you get the confidence. But in the end, you just have to take the shot. Make or miss, you just have to take the shot. Like I would tell some of my players at UP, if you miss it, you miss it. I mean, everybody misses. I mean, what's the percentage of you making the shot? 35, 36? That's not a high percentage to begin with. And that's not even in crunch time. That's in like the first quarter. So I think it's a win-win situation when you take those shots. I think you shouldn't think about the pressures of what everybody else would think. I think it's something like what we talked about a while ago. You have to be willing to look dumb. How bad do you want it? And usually it's when you miss, you look dumb, right? So
Yeah.
That's how bad you want it, to make yourself look as vulnerable as possible. I think a lot of people, they don't want to make themselves vulnerable for criticism. And I think Coach Cris sees this all the time in the coaching aspect. I don't think people want to be as vulnerable to other coaches because they feel they're not superior enough, or that coach is superior to them. But like I said, everything's not what it seems like right now. Right now is right now, but a week from now would be different. Your knowledge has expanded. So I think for kids, just take the shot. And if you don't take the shot, you'll never know what to improve on. And it's the good thing about taking shots in the end of the game. It's literally putting yourself in a state where it's just like faith. You just have to jump. There's nothing to worry about. You just have to jump. And if God wants you to make it, whatever situation you have going on. For instance, I think I've been in a playoff game where I made a winning basket. And that winning basket only wanted me to make more winning baskets. So it's like a drug that you want it. And if you miss it, which I've missed a lot of shots in the closing minutes of the game, it makes you want to stay in the gym longer. So that's your edge. So you could never know where you're at with your skill till that pressure comes. I think it's like a privilege. It's a blessing. And I would hate for kids now if they have the ball and they've been working on their game, and it doesn't even have to come with a move. It could come with like they just fouled you. One-on-one situation, they fouled you. You have to go to the free throw line. You have to sink the first free throw. And some kids, I was watching a game, and I think I was with Coach Cris. I was watching a UAAP game, and this guy had the ball, and he was literally running away
Oh yeah.
from because they were up 1 point and he was literally running away so he doesn't have to take the free throw. So in my mind, it was like, that can't be, you know? That can't be the basis of basketball, or like, you can't be running away from those situations, because I feel that's the blessing that God's giving you right now. And I think it'll propel you to greater heights, miss or make. If you miss those free throws, I'm pretty sure you're going to shoot 200 free throws tomorrow. If you make it, you're still going to shoot 200 free throws, because you don't want to miss it next time. You want to continue. So it's a blessing that you need. So you just have to take the shot.
Thanks, Coach. Well said. Like, yeah, that's why I asked for that, because I always need to pull out the picture of Westbrook stats and show it to my players. Look at that, 37, 36. Those are percentage from inside the paint, outside the paint, free throw and everything. But at the end of the score is 39 points, double-double. So the confidence needed to be there, because, I mean, you won't be able to do it if you're not going to take that chance.
Exactly.
Coach Alex. Coach Cris, again, Ian, I just going to incorporate all of his questions so that like he can have a chance. Coach, for you, Coach Cris, he said that you've been tweeting about the Miami Heat culture. What can you say about the culture that makes highly, regarded? Why I ask that, Coach, is because ERIK Spoelstra is a Filipino-American coach, the same as you are. So I just want to answer the question for Ian and myself as well, Coach.
I'm a big culture guy as well. I've really kind of embraced the way the Miami Heat organization has structured their culture based on a great level of toughness, accountability to themselves, and in regards to how they approach their work ethic, and really just everyone buying into that level of accountability with one another. And it really started with Pat Riley setting the tone, with getting the players that have that chip on their shoulder, like a Jimmy Butler, where he's one of the toughest defenders. He said it himself. He may not be the fastest. He may not be the best shooter, the best ball handler, but he's gonna fight. And I think that's Miami culture, where they instill that in their players, that analysts might overlook them every year, but then here they are in the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 wins away from the NBA Finals. And, that's such a huge credit to what Coach Spoelstra has been able to do from year to year. He never, he's never married to one particular system, which makes him as a coach so dynamic. He's always been able to reinvent his system to the kind of blend in with the talent level that he has, and I think that's just a true mark of his excellence as one of the elite coaches for me, in top 5 coaches in the NBA right now. And and cultures really starts with up top, and it usually permeates down from the coaches to the players. I really feel that you have to not only talk the talk, you have to walk the walk as well as a coach. And there's a term that coaches use. It's either you correct it or you accept it. And I think Coach Spo does a great job of being able to have that authority upon his players, but not be demeaning. He's able to squeeze a talent like 2 rookies in Robinson and Hero, and provide them that environment for growth and trust in them, and to play in these kind of situations. And and that comes down to their player development and their organization. And once again, it boils down to what they emphasize as a team, and they're really great at providing that empowerment to the coaches, to developing these players, and then it trickles down to the players, empowered to feeling like, oh, if I get better, coach is going to play me, and that's a great environment to be in as a player if you have a coach like that who's trusting, like Coach Sproul.
Thank you, Coach. Yeah, that was a good, help for us to understand that kind of culture. Coach, and then the last one that I want to ask about this Film Nation. Can you guys explain more regarding about the program and actually, for, what is actually the benefit of, and how actually why, and what is, can help for the Filipino American that wanted to progress on the highest level, coaches. Thank you.
Well, Film Nation Select, actually, we're actually veering to Foreign Nation because we are going to London. We're going to Australia soon, as we were planning to go to London, Australia, Canada, and Italy. And since the COVID thing happened, it really put a damper to our scheduling. But we're trying to help all players, especially with Filipino heritage. You know, the Philippines is the goal for most players. And I know there's the Jalen Greens, the Jordan Clarkson, but there's always the other tiers of players that aren't NBA caliber, and they want a long-term contract, or they want to go back to their heritage. So we provide this platform to get them exposed in the Philippines, get them exposed in the pro ranks, get them knowledgeable of what, when they do get exposed, what do they expect, what's expected of them. And it's just it's an educational standpoint on our end. And going through our organization, we can give you tips and get you connected. We're the bridge. We're just the bridge for you to get to the Philippines to get to you in as quick as an Instagram photo. And that's what we're willing to do. We have an app right now that's on the works. We're actually in communication with the Philippine Olympic Committee, which we will give you guys an app of all the wrestlers, all the sports, all the disciplines. And as you're a coach, as a Filipino coach, if you want to look for a track athlete in the States, track athlete anywhere in the world, you go on this app, you click on this app, and then you see all these track athletes and you pick from them. Instead of like traveling and wasting money, we're going to use social media and our media presence to give you in the palm of your hand, because everybody's on their phone now. So we're going to try to give you our, if you subscribe to our program, if you get our app, we're going to try to get you athletes, not just basketball, but in all aspects of the spectrum.
Thank you, Coach Alex.
Oh yeah, and Coach Cris, Coach Cris right here. He's going to be part of the East Coast of Film Nation.
Okay.
He will be definitely part of the coaching, the knowledge. And it's not necessarily kids that's going to ask you questions, Coach Cris. It's not necessarily kids that's going to ask, Coach Cris, how do we do this? It's usually the parents, because we've been in the position where my mom was so busy that she knew about the PBA because she lived here, but she just wanted me to have an education. She just wanted me to grow up and be healthy and go in the workforce and be successful. For her, making it to the PBA is like, it wasn't as, like there's some parents like that. They're working. My dad was working. My mom was working. So for a kid like me, if there was a Film Nation, and especially there's a coach from the Philippines that's from the United States that grew up like I did, and I have so many questions, but I just don't have any questions. I'm pretty sure my mom will be like, yo, Coach Cris, ganito ba talaga sa Philippines? Coach Cris, how is it like? Like, we're there to make your mom or your dad feel comfortable because it's not your decision. We're talking to kids at 15, 16, 14. You don't make no decisions. Kids don't make no decisions at that age, especially in the United States. We got to talk to your parents to make them feel comfortable and be like, okay, this is your dream. Okay, the dream is becoming real for me too because I've been educated. I've been educated with the passport situation. Coach Cris has talked to me. He's a head coach over there. He's well versed. I'm comfortable. Okay, I'm going to let you go to the Philippines. So that's what we provide. We provide guys like Coach Cris to educate not just players, not just coaches, but parents. Parents usually.
Yeah, Coach, sorry, Coach Alex and Coach Cris, I want to let you know that Familia DC is proud to be part of the hoops, you know, for Film Nation. I spoke with Chris Gopez, and soon we will be holding some your program here in the MV area. So more power to us. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach David.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, I have a son who's Phil Am, so
There you go.
yeah, you never know. Hey, so you know, I see the collaboration going to be happening in the future. I'm not fortune telling, okay. I see the spiritual side of this as brothers in Christ and how you guys are going to work together. And this is, I see some awesome things going to happen because we need men just like you who are working with our youth, who are working with other coaches. And because when you shared your faith, when you started expressing to me those things that are going on in your life, do you realize how many people were all of a sudden thinking, hey, I could do that? You know, the light bulb comes on top of their head because they hadn't thought, hey, I can share my faith. I can actually touch them in that way. You know, that's all it takes is men like you being willing to open your mouth and share the gospel, but not a gospel where you're just opening the Bible and, you know, cramming it down somebody's throat, but one that's genuine. You know, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. So I commend you both. I'm very thankful for tonight, for us getting to meet each other. And I'm hoping that you guys will come down together and do a clinic here. You know, I'm excited about this now.
I love Bacolod.
Coach David.
You know,
Coach
Bacolod City
already,
needs you. So thanks a lot, guys. I don't have another question.
Coach Cris already had a coaching his first coaching clinic here in Enra province.
Ilonggo Gid. Ilonggo Gid.
Yeah.
Coach, I have a question. It's from the Elgon's Corner for both of you. What separates winners from wishers?
Oh, Coach Cris knows all that. Coach Cris, go for it.
Can you repeat that? What separates
Winners from wishers? What separates winners from wishers?
winners from wishers? Okay.
Yeah, wishers.
I think wishers, I'd have to say the majority of players that I've interacted with that fall into that category are the ones that enjoy remaining in their comfort level. You know, parang they want to figure out a drill to make it easier. They don't want to struggle. They want to get through it as fast as possible. They want to go. They want to appease the coach while he's looking. They want to find shortcuts to accomplish something. You know, and the winners, on the other hand, have a stepladder approach where they're not willing to overstep one single step on the ladder. They want to learn, they want to master each step to make sure that as they go up, their foundation is strong. So even if there is a misstep, they're able to recover because of that foundation. You know, a guy like Alex, with the career that he's had, a lot of I would say players don't really realize the unseen hours, as they say, the Kobe time, the Kobe environment that he puts himself through. You know, the secret workouts that we've had these past 10, 11 years, where I'm not even supposed to be training him, but he still finds time to, you know, we both find time to make those sacrifices, because why? Him, for himself as a player, he loves seeing his growth, and he sees his success through the work. And I myself as a coach, and, you know, as us coaches, there's no other reward than seeing the fruits of a player's labor come to fruition due to your effort and your commitment to their progression as a player and as a person. So I think that's the difference for me between wishers and winners.
Thank you, Coach.
Funny story. I'm gonna share a funny story, but especially when Coach Cris said, I think you were already with Rain or Shine. I think you were with another team. Kia, but we had only 45 minutes, and it was after a San Miguel practice. So Coach Cris gets there, and he, you know, there's a certain type of banter with coaches, especially with other teams. But I had to tell my coaches, I need Coach Cris here. I need Coach Cris here. Come on, coach, just go inside. So Coach Leo saw him, and then Coach Leo goes, can you train Von Pesomal too? And I was just like, you know, when a coach sees another coach like Coach Cris that's willing, like what he just said, like his fulfillment is for us to get our goals. And when a player understands that he's doing it for our benefit 110%, even the other coaches are willing to, even if he's on the other team, he's willing. He was like, oh, could you help out Bon Pesomal too to do more off the dribble shooting? And we just looked at each other and we were like, this is crazy. This is too crazy. And, you know, that's just I guess that's just the difference between winners and wishers. Winners make it happen, and wishers just continue saying tomorrow na lang, tomorrow na lang, tomorrow na lang, tomorrow na lang. You know, I think that's the attitude. Even though you struggle with today, as long as you accomplish today, tomorrow will take care of itself. But if you always prolong what you need to do tomorrow will come after COVID, whenever that is. So.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, David, I actually to that point, there's a Bible story that I learned recently about two farmers who said God, I guess, told them prepare for rain, and the one farmer didn't believe, and the other farmer planted his seeds, and you know, and that term prepare for rain is a really great term as well, I think, for a winner, because winners prepare for rain because they know that it'll come and the growth will happen, and when they planted those seeds and the rain comes, then they'll see the fruits of their labor.
That's right. You know, if we have a clinic down here, we're going to have good portion of that is going to be Bible studies. Okay, so we're gonna get the boys and girls together, and we'll have huddles and all right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So we're going to raise great leaders.
Coach Ray, you have a question?
Coach, for both of
Yes.
Coach Cris and Coach Alex, words of wisdom for aspiring coaches and for the kids who wants to be a basketball someday.
Well, kids that wants to be, you know, kids that are aspiring to be, to play basketball in the highest level, make sure you practice when nobody's looking. Usually when you can't wait for somebody to be watching you all the time. Practice when nobody's looking, and do the stuff that, like what just Coach Cris says, do the stuff that you don't like to do. There's a lot of things. If you do the stuff that you don't like to do, and you continuously do those things that you don't like to do, if you don't like to wake up early, you force yourself to wake up early. It builds habit. It builds character. And I think to be successful in anything, you have to have habits, great habits that you're not accustomed to, because like what Coach Cris says, we're always in our comfort zone. So whenever you get out of your comfort zone, the more times, it's like playing the lottery. The more times you get out of the comfort zone, the more times you play that lottery, the more chances of you being successful. So get out of your comfort zone and do the things that you need to do even when somebody's not looking. And I think that's and with all that said and done, those are the technical side. I think that will build character and that will build winning habits. And as long as you have winning habits and character, I think you could go far in anything you do, not just basketball, but in anything you do.
I think words of wisdom from myself through my own experiences is have a mentality where you remain the hardest worker in the room. Have that humbled confidence about the way you approach work. You know, me and Coach Alex always talk about a mindset of, don't have a mindset that you have to be there. Have a mindset that you want to be there. You need to be there. You need to be at practice. I want to be at practice. I want to learn new things. I want to do the extra work before practice. I need the extra work after practice. Or I have to watch extra video to learn more about my craft as a coach. If you know, in regards to the best coaches out there in a technical side of player substitutions, you know, gut feeling after timeout calls, such things like that. The only way you're gonna learn is if you continually watch and ask questions as a coach. And really, you know, I came to the Philippines and I really didn't know anyone. I had no connections. All I really had was the work ethic. I felt that if I could get on the court and I could show a coach that I'm willing to stay after practice or even come to practice 2 to 3 hours as long as I have to help a player out, to show what kind of value I have, I'm willing to do that. You know, like I said, to be extraordinary, you have to do the extra. And that kind of carries over the players as well, that kind of mentality. And I think if you carry that with you for the rest of your life, that you're really just able to accomplish anything you put your mind to.
Yes, Coach.
Thank you, Coach Chris.
And I have a short story about Coach Chris. Every time I went to Manila, I always text those coaches that I know, Coach Chris, Coach Louis, and other coaches before I went to the Manila. And I always watch the practice of Coach Chris. And also, after the San Miguel Beerman champion, your champion, Coach Alex, he gave me a San Miguel champion shirt. That's what's special till now. As it's a very what you call that, yung memorable sa akin kasi galing kay Coach Chris and especially galing kay Coach Alex, binigay kay Coach Chris, tapos binigay sa akin. Yung memorable nga. That's why I love watching every training, and also Coach your HIREDWIRE. Kasi nakita namin doon sa HIREDWIRE sa YouTube, nakita namin yung practices nyo. Those who are watching us right now, yung nanonood, punta kayo sa YouTube. You can watch HIREDWIRE. Makikita niyo si Coach Cris Gavina, how he trained Coach Alex. Thank you, Coach Chris. Any more questions, coaches?
I have a last question.
Yes, Coach.
On a different coach's mind, I just wanted to ask if you could give me a quick takeaway about the game yesterday, either both or just once of those, any of those games. Just quick one. I just wanna hear anything from you guys. Take away from money. You can start from Coach Alex.
Well, the game with Denver and the Clippers obviously is the resilience of Denver. First, we're talking about the camaraderie, how the technical side, they really moved the ball well. Every time Paul George and Kawhi was driving, they always had the 7-footer there. They were rotating. They kept their bodies in front of them. They're not overextending. They're not jumping for block shots, but they're just getting in the front of them and making shooting percentages drop. And I think that's one of the hardest. I think Kawhi scored 14 points. So that's just that's just how they played. And with Miami and Boston, I felt like it was more of like I always like watching Dragic play because he's left-handed and I'm left-handed. So I like how he got into the seams, he got into the gaps and created. Like Jimmy, even though he doesn't, as you guys can see, he would set picks. He would set big picks and he would move the ball around, which is something you want from like your all-star. So you can't just score buckets, He's not just Jimmy buckets. He gets stops. He moves the ball. He rotates. He'll fill in for other guys. And, he doesn't mind not taking the shot at all the time. So he doesn't mind passing the ball around. So, as a common denominator with all this, me being a point guard, I like when the ball is moving, when the defense is chasing the ball. It's better than when the defense is in front of the ball and everybody's just looking at the ball. So, even though I like I grew up in the whole Allen Iverson era where you just, shake and bake. It's fun. I like doing that. But as a coach, I rather want you to move the ball. I rather have the ball go into the paint. There's a lot of ways that you could penetrate. It's not just by dribbling and pounding the ball. You could always penetrate by passing the ball inside and quickly reversing the ball outside. That's just as good as penetrating. So when the ball is moving around, it has a certain energy, and those are my takeaways to the game.
Well said, Coach. Thank you. Coach Cris.
Mine for the Denver real quick was, just the ability of Murray and Jokic to be playmakers and make the people around them take the pressure off of them. I mean, Murray has just blossomed into a out of this world superstar this playoffs. I mean, he carried them. That's what you call a Game 7 performance, 40 points. And for such a young player, and then you have Jokic, he reminds me of Bo Belga so much that he everyone says he's slow, he can't jump, he can't defend, but he does all the things. He had 16 points, 22 rebounds, and I want to say 11 assists. That's tremendous for a guy at that position to break apart to break apart a team like that with that tremendous kind of high IQ. Like Coach Alex said, I think it came the difference between the Clippers and the Nuggets was the way the two primary playmakers of Denver found the rotations of the Clippers and exploited it. Meanwhile, the Clippers wind up becoming more isolation basketball. And I think that wind up happening with the Celtics as well towards the end with Kemba and Tatum going all one-on-one. And it became easier for the Heat to really pin down what they needed to stop. The Heat, again, based off of culture that where they are number one off of points scored on cuts in the NBA, and that's a tremendous credit to the way they've set up their system where they have such a dynamic big man in Adebayo who can defend multiple positions, and he had 9 assists alone, and it's just such a great thing to watch to see an evolution of big men that can pass, that can defend guards, that can bring the ball up themselves, and now shoot the deep ball. And I'm a Heat guy. I'm going for the Heat. I'm hoping the Nuggets win. Also, I'm not a Laker fan. So I'm going for the underdogs. I'm going for the underdogs this playoff.
That was a good one, Coach.
Thank you, coaches.
Thank you,
And thank you all.
coaches.
And before we end, Coach, I would like to thank again the NAVA, North American Basketball Association, Familia Washington, D.C., Coach Enrico Quintana, thank you so much. ECQ Apparel,
Thank you.
Via Mart, Filipino Grocery, Team Rich, and Spartan Basketball. Thank you, Coach David Bessey. And before we end,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Coach Alex Cabagnot and Coach Cris Gavina.
Thank you, Coach Alex,
Thank you,
Coach
coaches.
So
Chris.
much.
Thank you,
And
David, Rain.
may I ask Coach David Bessey to lead us in our closing prayer. Coach David, your speaker.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Coach.
God heard me.
okay,
You
it's
just
okay.
did it. Father, thank you for the time we get to spend together. Lord, learning about basketball and each other, Lord, just thank you for blessing it, Lord, and continue this relationship that we can grow and work together, Lord, in reaching these boys and girls and raising them up. So thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, coaches.
Thank you, Coach Enrico. Thank you,
Thank you.
Coach
Yes.
Melky.
Good
We'll
to
get
meet
this.
you
Coach
guys.
We
Alex.
will get this Film Nation
Don't
here
forget,
in DC.
NABA soon. The NABA
Okay.
tournament soon. Kailan ba yun?
Okay. September.
Okay,
We're
good.
preparing already for
Yeah,
that, Coach.
we'll
We're
connect
trying
with
to hold it in Gaylord,
friends on Facebook now, okay?
Washington, D.C.
Malapit
The
na.
Film Nation,
All right.
Coach, we'll talk about that. We'll bring it here in D.C.
I can't wait to play the 35 and over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will be talking to Chris Lopez regarding about the plans and everything. We'll bring it here. We will bring it here.
Enrico, I'm a free agent. I'm 40 years old now. I can play in the 40 above.
Hey,
In the senior division, bro.
Coach Chris is already signed to New Jersey and New York, so I'm gonna get Alex.
Oh, yeah.
We'll connect together for that